The Cleveland Cavaliers come up just a bit short out in Detroit against a pesky and a tough Detroit Pistons team. Final score, Detroit 133, the Cleveland Cavaliers 122. The score shows that there was an 11-point difference, but in the final minute or so, final 2 minutes, the Pistons pulled away from the Cavs, who were trailing by 2 points late in that game. Anthony Moeglin alongside my partner, Spencer Spin Davies. And Spin, there's a lot of ways we're going to go tonight. We have a lot of conversation to have, but the overarching theme that I think both you and I took away from certainly the finish of that game is the heart that this Cavs team has. They do not quit, and tonight was yet another example of that.
Yeah, they don't quit. And here's the thing about tonight, that it's easy to look at the way that they gave up points and the way that obviously the offensive rebounds are crushing them right now, and that Evan Mobley didn't have a great game. But, I mean, this on the post-game show last night, man. Like, you're coming back from a West Coast road trip that was 10 days, and you come back, you play the Spurs at 7, and then you go on the road after that game to Detroit, and then now you have a 3 o'clock game on Sunday waiting for you against the Clippers, who have been one of the hotter teams in the league. And it's hard. It is hard to maintain the same energy level as an opponent does, especially Detroit tonight, who hasn't played since Tuesday. That's just an explanation for the physical energy. Now, if you want to go on the other route, yes, they have to be better in terms of being able to execute and not. They definitely telegraphed a lot of passes tonight. They did not have the same off-ball movement as they've usually had. Could also say that, Max Strus not being a part of the team tonight as well does affect that stuff. But I mean, you got to give the Pistons credit too, man. They were just on their game tonight, and Tim Hardaway Jr. couldn't miss. Even when they were contested, he was just knocking shots down. You had Malik Beasley had a good game. I think that they're a legit team, and they're a possible second-round matchup for the Cavs. So, you're going to see this type of energy and grit and determination against each other. And, the Cavs win the season series, but, that Detroit wanted that one. They're fighting for position in the East at the moment. And, I mean, you just look at, obviously, at the box score, a lot of free throws tonight, a lot of guys getting sent to the line on both sides. And, there were just some moments there down the stretch that didn't go in the Cavs' favor. You had the part where, Donovan Mitchell gets to the line. I think they're down 2 or 3, misses both free throws. Craig Porter Jr. gets a great offensive rebound, tosses it to DG in the corner. He has a great look. It's wide open, and it looked great out of the hands, and it just didn't go down. And, it leads to another end, and the Pistons capitalize. They get the foul call on Malik Beasley as Donovan's chasing over a screen, and that's kind of where I think it took a turn there at the end. But, again, playing devil's advocate, you can't put yourself in a 20-point hole going into the fourth quarter. Just not going to get it done on the road. But kind of got to pick up and move on with this one.
No doubt about it. The first place that I kind of want to start here too, Spin, is that it's kind of cool that Detroit's good again. Like, the Net City gets rocking a little bit. The team kind of reminds you of, well, I mean, it's a JB Bickerstaff coach team, man. They're tough. They're hard-nosed. They're going to fight you. They're not going to give up, similar to what the Cavs do, right? We lived it for a long time. And that's a good ball club. And like you said, that's a potential team, or that's a team that you're potentially going to face in the second, third, I mean, wherever they end up landing in the playoff section here. So definitely one that if that playoff series does happen, it's going to give you, what was it, 2006 vibes when it was LeBron versus the Pistons. We had that 25 in a row. But regardless, cool to have Detroit back in the mix. But kind of spinning it back to us. Donovan goes for 38. Darius goes for 21. The only two other guys who were in double figures was Dean Wade and DeAndre Hunter. Everybody else in single digits. Evan Mobley, 3 of 10 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3 for just 9 points and only 6 rebounds. Jared Allen in 19 minutes, 8 points and only 4 rebounds. I think for me, Spin, that's kind of where I noticed a massive difference is the Cavs bigs were kind of getting dominated. I shouldn't say dominated, just pushed around under the basket, and it led to a lot of second chance points for the Pistons.
You can say dominated tonight, and I was a little surprised that Evan, coming off of a rest day yesterday, did not have the same juice because it's obvious when the guys that played the back-to-back and were on the travel, those guys obviously have a little bit more leeway. But Evan just didn't have it tonight. He just kind of looked a little off. The timing wasn't there. And Isaiah Stewart was punishing him tonight and punishing Jared Allen too. Honestly, Jalen Duren too. Jalen Duren had a good game. And both of them really. J.A., I also give him a little bit more just because he's trying to play all 82 games.
Yeah.
Clearly, second night of a back-to-back for him, and he hasn't missed one all year long. These types of games are definitely going to wear on you. And you have to be better. I understand that. But between those two, I think that Evan was the more disappointing from this evening. And he'll bounce back just like every time. But, yeah, that was a tough pill to swallow for them, just not being able to keep them off the glass. Like you said, offensive glass has been something they've had issues with all month, and that is something that, if you want to say concerns going into the playoffs, it's the offensive glass for me. And, I asked Kenny Atkinson about that yesterday in Cleveland, and he joked that he had to go call Tom Izzo to coach up his guys on rebounds because there's a lot of ball watching going on right now. There's a lot of ball watching going on when the shot goes up instead of getting onto a body. And that's just not the way you got to reward your defense by securing a possession. And, team like Detroit is going to thrive off of that, especially one that doesn't have Cade Cunningham, and they have to find different ways to be offensively, good. And again, Tim Hardaway Jr. was unconscious tonight. A big part of why they were able to take it out there.
Yeah, and that obviously stood out. I think that on the Cavs side of things, you talk about the ball watch and you talk about some of the reasons why they were giving up some of those rebounds and things, and it all kind of ties back to what you started with. Like, this is a brutal part of the schedule. Not only are they kind of getting screwed, the Cavs, that is, by the actual games they have to play and where they're at and the travel and all that stuff, but also, too, you got to kind of factor in that it's something that it's a drum you've been banging pretty hard here for the last couple of weeks. Is like, you're in a weird spot of the season where these guys just want to get to a meaningful game. Like, just get me to the NBA playoffs. But the problem now is with this little spurt that Cleveland's been on, they've now brought the Celtics back into the picture. I had the Eastern Conference standings pulled up here, but of course they are not loading. They came into tonight 5 games up on the Celtics. So at the very least, they sit right now at 4.5 game lead on the Celtics. I don't know if the Celtics played or if they won tonight, but it doesn't look like they had a game. So 4.5 game lead in the East, and you don't want to limp into the playoffs. That's kind of what I'm concerned about, Spin, is like, you talk about the Pistons, they're kind of trending. Talk about the Celtics, they're absolutely trending. And the Cavs feel like they're on more of a negative trajectory, and that kind of scares me or concerns me heading into a potential playoff run.
Completely get it. No doubt. And, this is one of those things where the two things can be true at the same time, where you can have concern right now just because you look at their March has not been great. Their January also wasn't great, though.
Yeah.
And it's just about how they respond to these things. And I would be very, very surprised if they gave up the one seed. And if they do, then you're going to see me a little bit more on high alert. But I just, there's something about this team that I feel like they will figure it out and they will get going. Like, if you listen to mic'd up Max Strus yesterday talking about how there's 10 games left in the season, we got to start playing real basketball.
Yeah.
They have that kind of leadership in the locker room, so that stuff doesn't concern me. I know that Donovan Mitchell is going to be on his strong game, and he's starting to show signs the last couple of games.
Yeah,
outstanding fourth quarter. Just the jump shot, getting to the rack, doing all sorts of things to help contribute to winning. Like the last couple of nights, Darius Garland had a good game tonight. So you got to have your best players obviously getting back to their level. That helps. And we also wouldn't be so bad if Ty Jerome got back into the fold too. The spark plug of the team, of course. But yeah, that I think all kind of together. And, I'm interested to see how they respond. They will have. Here's the thing. I tweeted this out too. After Sunday, we're going to have consecutive games off for the first time since March 11th. So consecutive days off for the first time since March 11th. So they are going to use that probably so nicely and feel like, oh, finally.
Yeah.
Because it's been tough. March has been tough. They're playing 16 games in March. That's a lot of basketball, guys. And you know what? Like, I will give them grace coming back from the West Coast and doing this, and then even the West Coast schedule wasn't easy.
It was crazy.
So I
and
understand.
the 16 games in March, as you mentioned, that is their most games played this year. They had 2 months with 15, and that's November, so the second month of the year, and then January they had 15 games. So the second to last month of the season, you have a 16-game schedule, not easy at all. And I didn't even realize it until you said it. The Pistons coming off of, they didn't play a game since Tuesday. I mean, it's Friday night. That's 4 days off. Like, that's unbelievable. And that Piston team's good, man. It's a good ball club. And I think the main positive that you can take away, I take two away. The first is that this team has no quit in them. And that is good to see, that regardless of how the past 2 weeks have gone, they still got that juice to them. And the second is Donovan Mitchell, right? I was getting a little nervous, and a lot of people were. He hasn't been playing good ball, trying to fight off some injury, trying to get back to being healthy. I got scared the one possession. I know you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. He goes to the lane, kicks it out to left corner to Evan Moeglin, and took a nasty fall and didn't get up right away. And you're like, oh no, this is the last guy that you needed to happen to. But he ends up being okay. Doesn't have enough tonight, but it certainly was not Donnie's fault that the Cavs didn't get it done. He finished with 38 on 12 of 24, 3 of 4 from behind the arc. You mentioned a couple guys that were out, Strus, Sam Merrill, to name two of them. That certainly factors into this, because not Sam Merrill, Strus and Ty Jerome. Merrill plays 20 minutes tonight. Javonte Green plays 13 minutes. Craig Porter Jr. plays 21 minutes. So those are big minutes for a lot of guys who haven't been contributing in those roles. It's outside of Sam Merrill, but haven't been contributing in those roles in a while. Obviously, that factored into when you talk about the loss tonight.
And I love that Kenny stuck with that small ball group the rest of the way, because it got him back in. And just like one of those commenters just said, it was a 5-out lineup for Donovan to kind of dominate, and gave him a lot of space to drive, and gave him a lot of loose kind of spacing for him. So that was definitely helpful. Craig Porter Jr. had really good minutes tonight. Guy's always just ready to play, and
he's a good player, man.
I admire the hell out of Craig, man. He's a good player, savvy, simple plays, and is obviously athletic as hell, because he went and skied for some rebounds, made some big plays, and a lot of 50-50 balls. It felt like today in general, it was a roulette of loose balls for everybody. Those things were just all over the place, but you gotta find a way to come up with them. It's just that time of year, guys. It's that time of year. And again, gonna keep harping on the schedule. If you want to call me a homer, be my guest. I'll be here, and I'll take it on the chin if I'm wrong when they're playing in the playoffs and they get smacked up. I will take it on the chin. But I truly, and you know what? And if you want to even go further, like you're listening to the broadcast on FanDuel Sports Network, Austin Carr literally at the end of the game says, I think that was a schedule. I think that was a schedule one. And Austin is someone that doesn't pull punches. No. So, I could go a little bit more of the route of grace here than freaking out over this one.
Spin 7 games left. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Yeah, 8 games left. I got ahead of myself. 8 games left. 1 game left here in the month of March. Then we flip the calendar over to April, where you got 7 games, and it's going to be an interesting finish, man. This is going to be a fun finish. Obviously, the Clippers come to town on Sunday. You'll be there in person, 3:30 tip, and then the finish of the season is actually. It's pretty cool. There's going to be some really good games in this final 7. You got the Knicks, then you have a game against the Spurs. Obviously, they were pretty tough the other night. Then you play the Kings, who beat us, the Bulls, who completed an incredible comeback just the other night. Then you go Pacers, Knicks, Pacers to finish it.
Not easy.
That Pacers, Knicks, Pacers is, I don't know how it'll get played. I don't know if Tyrese Halliburton's going to get played, but that's a group that just scored 160 points the other night. I don't care if you're playing in a YMCA game. 160 is a boatload. And Pacers, Knicks, Pacers. That's 2 playoff teams that you're going to see potentially. You're going to see one of them at some point in the playoffs. So going to be really a really interesting finish, man. And I'm kind of geared up to see how this team handles this final 8-game stretch here.
Not easy, not easy. And, you can't even gloss over the Bulls, who are playing incredible basketball right now. That backcourt of Josh Giddey and Kobe White has really, really stepped up, doing a lot of big things. Matas Buzelis playing well for them too. I mean, and you mentioned too, they're playing the Spurs. They're going to San Antonio for a 1-game road trip down to Texas.
How crazy is that?
And then coming back. So, I'm gonna keep crying wolf here about this schedule. I don't know, man. It's pretty crazy, but I again, I'll take it on the chin if I'm wrong about it. 3 weeks, 4 weeks from now. But I just do not see anything about this team that makes me concerned about their mindset, their mentality, and they're going to figure it out. They're going to figure it out. I'll put that out there right now.
Yeah, the vibe on this show and the tone on this show is, hey, don't slowly freak out here. Hang tight. There's a lot of basketball left to be played, and we know it. These guys know that it's going to be important here in a couple weeks. It's not the most important right now, but when those lights are the brightest and it's playoff time, these NBA players have a special way of flipping the switch and getting ready to take care of business. So, Spin, we're going to get out of here on that. Any final thoughts on tonight's game? Anything that we missed, didn't touch on that you wanted to hit?
No, nothing from tonight's game. The one thing I will mention about the team is that Kenny Atkinson said pregame yesterday that someone asked him, what do you want to see in the final 10 games? He's like, I pretty much know what kind of team we have. I just want to be healthy. I want our guys to be fully healthy going into the playoffs. And that just tells me that there is no kind of internal worry or freak out about anything. So the temperament of the team is going to rely on that. They can't be lax about it. They also can't be overly trying to correct themselves. And they know what it is. They know what time of year it is. It's gonna come. And they have way too much talent. Offensively, they're a juggernaut still. Defensively, they got to be better guarding the ball. They can't not guard their yard, and they got to make sure that they grab those rebounds, as we were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. But those are really the only things that I look at. And you want to keep on harping on the physicality narrative that they've had for 3 years. Be my guest, dude. I don't know. I just don't. I don't think that's as big of a as a lot of people see it.
Dude, there was a report yesterday. I forget. It was during our game last night. I forget who it was. It was either Ty Jerome or maybe even Max Strus, but they were talking about it. Serena Winters was talking about it in one of the commercial breaks, and she's like, "Hey, the question was asked, like, why aren't you guys freaking out about this, or why are you guys able to be so calm in the midst of a tough stretch, a losing streak?" And Ty or whoever said it was like, "We didn't get high when we were on a 15-game win streak. We didn't get high when we were on a 12-game or another 15-game or a 10, because we stayed right like this. And guess what? When you stay like this, you don't go up, and then when things don't go bad, you know how to keep it right in the middle, which is where these guys got to operate, and that's the maturity of this group. That's leadership, that's coaching, that's all the good things that'll pay dividends here in the playoffs when they come around here. So tonight, Cavs fall short, but things are still okay, right? Still the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, still have the front row seat to get home court advantage throughout the Eastern Conference playoffs. And then if they're able to make it and get out of the East, whoever's waiting for them from the Western Conference, we'll see. The only team ahead of them is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Before we get out of here, I'm throwing you way on the spot right here. Way on the spot. Boy. You get 1 minute to talk about Memphis firing Taylor Jenkins today. What in the world?
So I guess it's not as shocking as I anticipated it, just because hearing from everyone from Memphis, that was like kind of an eye-opener to me. Like, they had not been playing well since the All-Star break. They're 8 out of their last 19 games. They've won 8 of their last 19 games or something like that. Yeah. They haven't won against good competition. And my thing is just, it's crazy to me that they did this on March 28th. That's the biggest shock of it all. The playoffs literally starts in 3 weeks. Yeah. And they're taking the gamble of, we were going to lose in the first round anyway, so may as well just make a change now, is at least what I'm getting from who I've interacted with online. So it's a risk to take. I mean, I understand it. It does remind me a little bit of the Cavs and JB Bickerstaff, maybe reaching their ceiling with a certain coach and trying to find that guy to take them to the upper echelon. I think that they probably should have let him finish the year, but I'm not the guy who makes the decisions. It's Zach Kleiman. And I think it's a risk just because, there's only so much time you can have to acclimate these guys. And they also fired some assistants. So it's not going to work in the short term, but in the long term, it could pay off.
Maybe. It was definitely a shocker for me, but as a surprise to nobody, Spin is plugged in, locked in on all things NBA. So we're getting out of here on that. One final comment here from Robbie. Robbie, appreciate you. You're always with us. Get through the regular season healthy and go Cavs. Go Cavs is right. Cleveland falls to Detroit, 133-122. But we appreciate everybody jumping in with us live tonight. If you're catching us tomorrow morning, I hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll be back with you on Sunday. Spin and possibly Spencer will be live downtown at Rocket Arena for all the pregame, postgame comments from coaches, players, staff, and then also we'll have a live show rolling later on Saturday or Sunday afternoon. So make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, following over there on X, anywhere that you get your Cleveland Cavaliers content. Please make sure that Cleveland Cavaliers on SI is one of your stops. For my partner, Spencer Spin Davies, I'm Anthony Moeglin. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight on the Cleveland Cavaliers on SI YouTube channel.